What's up guys, I'm PokerfaceAsh and welcome to my channel. Today I'm headed to Talking Stick to play a cash session. My first time back there, I played the 3-5 where we got a nice double up flopping a set of 4s against pocket aces. My next session, which was my last vlog, we tried our hand at the 2-3 game where we ended up booking a nice profit when we got our aces all in our very first hand. So today I think I'm gonna go back and try the 3-5. Hopefully there's some good games going and we'll be in that game for $1,500. Things have been a whirlwind for me lately, a lot of changes, a lot of crazy stuff, starting a new workout program, and all this lack of sleep finally caught up to me. I came down with a nasty cold the last week, so I apologize there was no vlog, but I am back in commission, back up and running, feeling great and excited to play today. I know a lot of you are avid watchers and maybe some of you watch every vlog but you're not subscribed, and it's crazy how many people watch and aren't subscribed. I know it's something minuscule, but honestly guys, it helps the channel a lot, so would you do me a huge favor and just smash that subscribe button real quick? It would mean the world to me. All right guys, we got a lot of exciting stuff coming up. I'm actually going to be heading to Austin next week to play in their tournament series, where I'll hopefully play on their live stream if they have that up and running. I'll definitely get into some juicy cash games and of course play some tournaments, so a lot of things to look forward to. All right, I will see you guys at Talking Stick. So it looks like I'm the first one up on the list, so I'm not going to jump in any smaller games, even though those are open seats. I'm just going to wait for the 3-5 since I'm first up. In one of my very first playable hands, there's a limp under the gun, a call next to him, it folds to me in the small blind, and I look down at pocket queens. The normal raise size at this table has been anything from $20 to $25, even $30, so I don't want to raise too small. I want to make it a little bit bigger since I'm out of position, so I decided on a raise size of 30. They both decide to call, so we're going 3 ways to a flop of ace of spades, jack of spades, 7 of hearts. I'm out of position on an ace-high board, but I do have significant range advantage, being the pre-flop raiser on an ace-high board. Even though it is somewhat dynamic, I don't want to give up my lead here. I can maybe hope to get one of the players to fold, maybe both, but either way, I'm going to fire a bet here, and I don't need to bet too big here out of position against 2 players, so I decide on a sizing of $35. They both call, so we head to a turn card, which is the 5 of clubs. Now, having them both call, it's highly likely that I'm behind to a suited ace. Maybe they limp called with an offsuit variety, but either way, I think I'm going to check and see what develops, so I decide to check. And the player to my left, the original under the gun limper, decides he wants to put a bet out of about $200, which is almost his entire stack, as he left himself probably about $20 or so behind. The player to his left decides to fold, and now it's back on me. I don't think I can make this call with middle pair. It's very likely I'm behind. I have no idea where I'm at. I'm out of position, and so I decide on a fold. I folded and he looked like he was going to muck his cards as well, as the dealer was pushing him the pot, so I turned off the camera, but right after I turned it off, I didn't get it captured, but he did show pocket aces for top set. He could have put in a 3-bet or even shoved pre, and I definitely would have lost a bit more on the hand, so I guess in the short term, I definitely lost the minimum there. So I definitely got sat at a really juicy, good 3-5 table. The action was great. The guy to my direct right was drunk and just throwing away money. He was in the game for like $4,000. Another guy to my left was just calling everything, bluffing, just playing crazy, not caring about the dollar amounts at all, so I knew I was at a great table. All that being said, in this hand, there's a straddle to $10. The crazy drunk guy to my right makes the call, and I look down at pocket 7s on the button. I'm not going to achieve anything raising here. I'm still going to get multiple callers, so I rather keep everyone in the hand. If we flop a set, we can definitely get some money out of these people, so I decide to call the $10. The big blind calls, and the original straddler checks his option, so we're going 4 ways to a flop. The flop is ace, 8, 7, so we flop ourselves a set, but it is an all spade board. They all check to me, and I'm on the button. I definitely want to put out a bet here. I want to deny equity to flush draws, and I also want to get value from aces that can't fold just yet, so I decide on a bet of $25. And as crazy and loose as this table was playing, they all decide on a fold. So our set lives to see another day, and we pick up a decent pot. So in this hand, I get the pleasure of playing with both of the craziest people at the table. So the loose crazy guy who likes to bluff, he limps under the gun. He will play any 2 cards, I've learned at this point. Folds to the button, who is the drunk guy who's in for a ton of money. He raises to $18. I look down at 5-4 of hearts in the big blind, and I know I said I was going to play discipline and not play negative EV hands. However, when you have a drunk guy willing to give away free money at the table, I definitely want to get in the mix, see if I can flop a strong hand or even a pair, because this guy will go crazy and bluff hundreds of dollars with absolute air. So if you get a pair against him, you gotta buckle up and call him down. The under the gun limper calls. He's been limp calling pretty much everything pre-flop, so we head to a flop 3 ways of queen, 6, deuce with 2 clubs. This flop definitely doesn't look great for me, however, we do flop a gut shot.
So you're telling me there's a chance?
I check, under the gun player checks, and surprisingly, the drunk guy on the button checks as well, so we're heading to a turn card, which I absolutely bink. It is the 3 of diamonds.
Yeah!
So now we have the nut straight, a very sneaky straight. Now I definitely need to start betting. There's no need to slow play because these players are very cully, so it's definitely in my benefit to start putting money in the pot because I have the nuts. So I start with a bet of $25. The original limper calls and the button folds, so we're going heads up to a river card, which is the 10 of clubs. And it does bring in the flush. I think for a bit on this actually, I can either bet and then fold to a big raise, or I can check. And this particular player I had watched so many times. Whenever he was checked to in position, he would bet whether he had it or not, and he was not afraid to bluff. So here on this board, if I check, it's very unlikely that I have a flush, as I would continue betting if I made a flush on this river card. So if I check, it'll definitely look like I'm capped and don't have a very strong hand. And if he does have a good hand, maybe like a queen, he's gonna bet all of his queens, he's gonna bet all of his 2 pairs, and he's gonna bet all of his nothing. So I thought about it for a while and then decided on a check. Sure enough, as soon as I check, he starts thinking and he looks like he wants to put a bet together, and he decides on a bet of $115. I don't think I should raise here because I probably am only getting called by better, so I decide on a call. And he flips over 7-3 for just a pair of 3s, so I definitely think we induced him to make a mistake and bet. I had seen him do this so many times. If I bet the river, he's most certainly folding, so I think we made the maximum there. In this hand, my friend Christian raises from the hijack to $20. The drunk gentleman to my right decides on a call in the small blind, and I look down at pocket 10s, and I think this is where I made a bit of a mistake, although I think this hand could go either way, but given the dynamics, I think I would prefer a 3-bet in this spot. I know the drunk guy's gonna call any raise pre-flop, and I probably have his range completely crushed. If I raise big since I'm out of position, Christian will likely fold a lot of his nothing because I know he's capable of raising a very wide range of hands. However, at the time I was thinking, get the drunk guy in the hand, don't get him to fold, flop a big hand, and get paid. So as played, I decided on a call, so we're going 3 ways to a flop. The flop is king 7 deuce with 2 clubs. The small blind checks, I check, and Christian puts out a c-bet and he makes it $25. Not surprised to see the small blind call, and I'm also not going to go anywhere quite yet, so I also make the call. Christian can have some bluffs here, and he definitely knows this board is very advantageous for him. So we head to a turn card, and it is the 9 of hearts. So the small blind checks again, I check, and Christian wants to keep firing, and he decides on a bet of $90. The small blind thinks for a bit and then folds, and now I have a decision to make. Do I think Christian is firing here with some bluffs? Of course he has some hands that want to deny equity. When he fires again on this board, he's definitely polarizing himself. He's telling me he has a very strong hand or a bluff hand that has equity. So if I call here, there's a lot of river cards I'm also going to have to call, so I'm really put to a decision. When I thought it through, the more I thought about the dynamics, the more I thought it was unlikely that Christian would continue bluffing here, knowing that the small blind is very unlikely to fold a lot of the time, so it made me lean more towards thinking he had a pretty strong hand. So I do decide to let my hand go, and again, right after I turned off the camera, my friend Christian rolled over ace king of hearts, so he was actually at the top of his range, and I was really happy to see that my thought process in the hand was correct and we made the right laydown. Alright guys, buckle up. This was definitely the hand of the night. I'm under the gun and I look down at pocket eights, so I make it $15 to go. The crazy guy who loves to bluff and plays a ton of hands, he makes the call, which I'm not surprised to see. The button and the big blind call, so we're going 4 ways to a flop of Jack 8 5 with 2 hearts, and we flop ourselves middle set. I'm definitely going to continue betting here. I'm at the top of my range. It's a dynamic board and there's multiple opponents I have to worry about, so I bet $30. Middle position calls and the button calls. The turn is an offsuit 3. The only hand that beats me right now is 6-7, which I know they're capable of having. However, I'm not going to stop betting just because there's a possibility I can be beat. So I am going to put out a bet and I decide on $125. Middle position makes the call and the others fold. So we go heads up to a river card, and it is quite possibly the absolute worst card, or at least one of the worst cards that we could possibly see. It is the 6 of hearts. So everything literally gets there. Any pair plus straight combo hand gets there. The flush gets there. Now my hand just went from the top of my range to essentially a bluff catcher. However, against this opponent, it still has a lot of value. Remember, this is a guy who is not afraid to bluff. He likes to bluff every time he's checked 2. We have a set, and I'm just hoping and praying we can get to showdown. So I check it over to him, and he did exactly what I expected him to do, and he moves all in for $263. This decision is actually a lot closer than it seems. Against most opponents, I can definitely get away from this hand, but because this particular villain is capable of bluffing, he knows this is an amazing river card for him to bluff if he doesn't have a strong hand. He can turn almost any hand he has into a bluff, so now I have to decide if I have the correct odds to make this call. Does he have enough bluffs in his range for me to justify calling $263 to win what's in the pot? Running the numbers, I don't think I'm quite getting the correct odds if I don't think he has enough bluffs, but this was a really tough, gross spot. I thought for a while, trying to think about the hands he could have. I thought he could even possibly be shoving here, thinking I don't have a flush, but overvaluing a 2-pair hand, so he could even be value owning himself. So all those things taken into consideration, this is a cash game, not a tournament. If I'm wrong, I can rebuy. If I'm right, I'm scooping a nice pot. So I decide on a call, and he shows me 6-7 of clubs, which is the hand he should have there a lot of the time, and flushes too, of course. In hindsight, we easily could have got it in on the turn, so maybe that result would have happened either way, but I was given the opportunity to make a good fold on the river and ended up paying him off. Let me know what you guys would have done in the comments given the pot size, the bet amount, and the villain that we are playing against. I'm very curious what you guys would have decided on. Let me know in the comments below. And one of the very last hands I played, the cutoff, the guy directly to my right, he limps. I look down at King Queen offsuit and I want to isolate and play a pot in position against the loose cannon, so I make it $30 to go. It folds back around him, which is exactly what I wanted to happen, and of course he makes the call. Haven't seen him fold pre-flop yet, so we go heads up to a flop, jack high with 2 diamonds. He checks and I decide to put out a small bet. I'm not sure if I like this sizing or not, but I put out a bet of $10 and he folded very, very quickly, so we end up scooping a pot on our last hand of the night. So as I was playing cash, I happened to look up at the screen and saw that there was a nightly tournament starting in 6 minutes. And if you know me, I cannot resist a poker tournament. It doesn't matter where or when it is. I hadn't played a tournament in a couple weeks and I was itching to play, so I ended up racking up and decided I wanted to go play. I was in the game for $1,500 and I cashed out with $1,218 for a loss of about $300. Right after I cashed out, I immediately registered for the tournament, which was $145 buy-in, 10K starting stack, 20-minute levels, and no big blind ante in this one. So I sat down, and one of my first hands, I got knocked down to about 6,000 in chips after I lost a decent pot. I was then able to catch my opponents in a few mistakes, and I was able to double up and even almost triple up to about 20,000 in chips. Alright, so we are on break here in the tournament. Lost a pot super early, like I think one of my very first hands I played. I might have made a bad fold, I'm not sure. But after that, we caught some hands and we made some good calls. I called a river bet and was correct and ended up scooping a nice pot. So I think I'm right around about 35,000, which in this tournament, having 3x starting stack at the end of the first break is pretty darn good. So I'm gonna keep chipping away here and see if we can make this final table. It'd be pretty sweet and it'd be a day saver for sure. So after the first break, I sat down to about 38,100 chips, which was a great place to be in. Another level goes by and the blinds were 600, 1200. A guy limped and I raised in the small blind to 3600 with pocket aces. He calls and the flop comes king high. I bet and he shoves. I snap call and he has king jack and hits a jack on the turn to give him 2 pairs, so I lost about almost 10,000 chips on that pot. I slowly built my stack back up when I found myself with king queen. I raised it up. The guy next to me, who was a very short stack, decides to go all in. I called for not much more and we saw all 5 cards, and unfortunately my opponent hit a straight on the river, so we add another big dent to our stack. After those couple bad beats, I was happy to see that the floor told me I had to switch tables. I headed to the new table and almost right away, I get an immediate double up where one of my friends, Jonah, who just won a circuit ring by the way, congrats man, he raises it up. I look down at pocket aces in the big blind with 10 big blinds. I shove, he calls with king jack of hearts and our aces hold, and so we got a full double up. Alright, I made it to the second break and there are 17 people left, or maybe 16 because I think someone just got knocked out. So 16 people left and 10 get paid, so we have a shot here to cash this thing. So after second break, I found myself with about 62,500, which was a pretty healthy stack for this structure. I started cooking and caught a little bit of heat when there was a raise under the gun, and I look down at pocket kings and I shove again for under 20 big blinds. He side calls and he shows ace queen. The board runs out clean and we end up knocking him out and added a lot of chips to our stack. We now headed to one of the last breaks, which is a color up where they take our purple chips, and I had exactly 100,000 in chips and there is now 11 people left. All right, I think the bubble just burst. There was 11 left and I think someone just got knocked out. So I think me and my friend Musa made it to the money. We did indeed make it into the money, so we are now guaranteed at least our buy-in back plus a little bit more. A few short stacks got knocked out right after that, and so now there was 8 of us left. I'm one of the chip leaders with a pretty decent stack, and then it folds to me in the small blind. I look down at pocket kings, so I raise it up. The big blind wants to play for all of his chips, and we are practically even in chips. He shoves, of course I snap call. He shows pocket nines. We are in great shape to now take the chip lead of this entire tournament with 8 people left, and here's what happened.
What? Oh my god.
Nice hand.
So I ended up getting 8th place for $237, something like that. Super unfortunate because I should literally be chip leader right now, so it's really painful to lose there with 9 people left, but it is what it is. We almost made a nice comeback for the day. All in all, not a bad day. I could have been out another tournament buy-in as well as the cash loss, so you know what? I'll take it. We'll live to see another day, and we'll wait to hold with kings versus nines when it really matters. Anyway, thank you guys so much for the sweat. I really hope you guys enjoyed the vlog. If you did, would you do me a huge favor and go all in and like, comment, and subscribe? It would mean the world to me. Remember, we're just getting started on this journey. It's only up from here. I'll see you guys next time.